Pizza Ninjas community show. It's a little different today. If you notice, we have more guests that I'll introduce in just a minute, including the CEO himself, Trevor.btc. We had a massive announcement, as you've probably already seen through social media posts that we've been teasing. This is the introduction of our IP school. This is a step towards taking decentralized IP to the next level, taking it to the masses. We've been hyping it up these past few days. We've been talking about it, but on this show today, we are going to show you some of it. We're going to walk you through it. With that, again, we have joined with us Trevor.btc, the CEO. We have Ken 100, the creative director. We have Fred Builds, the growth lead. And before diving into the actual slides and everything we're going to talk about today and everything we're going to show, I just want to give everybody a quick chance to be able to introduce themselves, maybe their role in this. I'll go ahead and start off. Chris Coffey, head of content marketing. I'll be using a lot of this. I do, of course, a lot of marketing, a lot of social media. I've been creating workflows through N8N. I've been using the latest AI tech to be able to create videos and images and all that. So I'll be handling a lot of the marketing side, a lot of the content, a lot of the growth side of that with like social media and all of that. So Ken, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you, man.
Oh, yes, of course. I'm Ken, head of IP development. I've been involved with the IP since day one, building with writers, Trevor, and a host of other people, other talented creatives to build out this IP. So that's my main involvement. So that's what I'm going to be touching on during this.
Cool. I'll take it over from here. I'm Fred. My alias is Fred Builds on Twitter. And I've been in the game since 2020. And in 2021, I joined the JPEG Rush and Bubble. And one of the things that led to my breakthrough and to the role that I work now is that I saw it not as an investment vehicle, but I saw it as a group, as a community where I can upskill myself to eventually earn more, right? And I think that's what today's about. That's what the IP school announcement is about. And my role is going to be to help run the program and to run the cohorts like we did in the past with the Creator Bootcamp as well, over 10 weeks. Now, we got a couple of surprises that we're going to talk about and a couple of, let's say different new structures that we're going to run this time. And so I'm really, really stoked to be running this with you guys.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, guys. Today's a really big day, guys. I'm really excited to talk in depth about IP School. I mean, this is the holy grail for us. This is like how everything comes together and how the model about what we've been talking about creating an incredible IP through this decentralized collaboration. We're going to show you guys how it actually comes together and how we're going to pave the way for this in the coming months.
Heck yeah. With all that being said, like you've got a brief introduction to the team. I guess we could get right into the slides. We have quite a few to show you guys, things that we've been very excited about, things that we've been building out for months. And truly, we believe that this is going to be a breakthrough for not only Pizza Ninjas, but for decentralized IP. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the slides that we're going to look at today, and I'll pass it off to Trevor.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. So yeah, starting this presentation with a quote from Paul Graham. He's pretty much the most successful like Web 2 Silicon Valley investor of all time. He's the first investor in Coinbase, Airbnb, Stripe, Reddit, Twitch. And before he invested in all those companies, he wrote this essay, September 2004, right after the dot-com bust and boom. And he says, over the long term, what the bubble got right will be more important than what it got wrong. And so whenever I hear the word bubble, of course, the first thing I think about is NFTs because of what we lived through in 2021. But he was actually talking about the internet bubble. But I believe that this actually applies directly to NFTs as well. And so the full quote actually is that anything that was fashionable during the dot-com bubble became unfashionable after. But that's a mistake because over the long term, what the bubble got right will be more important than what it got wrong. And so, of course, I'm using this quote here because I'm going to advocate for on-chain IP and the fact that explaining why I think we didn't achieve the goal in 2021, but we will in the coming years, starting with right now. So the greatest wealth creation event of this era will be the moment decentralized IP breaks into the mainstream. And so all of these projects, actually, let me go back here. All of these projects are doing what? What are they building? They are based on the idea that through this technology, through decentralized co-creation, we all believe that we can build an IP that is bigger than any Web 2 IP. This technology will enable that, right? And so that is because we believe that Web 3 IP redefines the relationship between a fan and a brand, right? And no longer is it just fans being passive, but fans being active, because now fans can own the exclusive right to develop and monetize the characters they buy, whether it's their Pizza Ninja or others. And that's what everybody is focused on believing. And so let me start with like a little bit of a guessing game, and I'll actually turn over to Ken and Fred and Chris. Here's like a bunch of very successful Web 2 IPs. Okay, Star Wars, Simpson, Pokemon. In fact, together, these are all worth about 300 billion. So what do these all like have in common and on the theme of what we're talking about? Who wants to take a guess?
I mean, I would say it's all amazing IP that lasted the test of time for all of them. That's what I'd guess they all have in common.
Okay.
I would say that maybe the founders of it at some point were not the ones anymore who were driving the creative behind it necessarily. It got delegated to some others that had the major successes like Pokemon Go, without the founders having to do any creative work to build it further.
I think my first thoughts is that they all, maybe outside of Call of Duty, have like individual recognized characters like that stand out amongst like the whole IP. But
okay, yeah, fair. So obviously they have a lot of different things in common, but what I was aiming for in this presentation is the fact that like they are going down in quality over time. So like we know this to be true. It's not just like the nostalgia that we have, like the originals were better, but like it makes a lot of sense when you think about centralized ownership and who's actually developing these franchises, that the quality goes down over time. It's usually like an artist or someone who really has a lot of passion for an IP that develops it. And then over time, the corporate machinery just focuses on extracting from it, right? Whereas on the other hand, the whole point of decentralized IP ownership is that this leads to higher quality over time. That is built by fans with real passion, that they have a personal investment, and this actually creates a flywheel of quality over time. So like this is like, I think we can all agree with this is like the thing that actually makes this idea obvious from the beginning. And not to mention the fact that like we're in a different world than we were in like the 80s and 90s. In the 80s and 90s, everybody used to watch the same TV show, and like you would go to school, you go to the office, and everybody watched the same thing last night, right? It was crazy when satellite TV came out, and we went from having 100 channels to 1,000 channels, and we're like, wow, that's amazing. We have so many channels now. But we live in a world where we have millions of channels through YouTube, and everybody pays attention to different content. There's no more monoculture in the United States or in most countries. Everybody connects over the internet, probably in different countries, have more in common than some people in the same country. And so everyone's consuming different content niches, and the IPs of tomorrow will need to be like built with this in mind. The IPs of today are not really designed for the world that we're moving into. And so this is why, yeah, go ahead, Ken.
No, I was gonna say real quick, since everybody were watching the same thing, like Chris, what were you watching in the 90s? What TV shows were you watching?
hey man, I was a product of the 90s actually, 95 baby. But I did some of my first, I mean, probably like Nickelodeon, Disney, maybe that was already established. But I did become a fan of Pokemon and Nintendo in the 90s because my first games I truly remember like beating, not necessarily playing. I remember seeing a Game Boy Black and White with Wario, actually, out of all games. It was like a Wario game. But also, obviously, the Super Nintendo and stuff, but I didn't really get into it. My first game I really got into outside of Zelda Ocarina of Time for N64 was Super Mario 64. So it was a Nintendo game involved with Mario. And then, of course, I got into Pokemon. And I think a big Pokemon movie came out in either 99 or 2000. So I've been a fan of these IPs that were mentioned like my whole life.
Yeah, for sure. I hear the color of Pokemon says a lot about you. What color was your Pokemon?
Oh my gosh.
What
I
color,
don't know.
Chris?
I don't know, man. I think like blue or something.
Blue?
Blastoise.
No,
Yeah.
no, Ken. Sorry, no, Chris. You weren't that. You weren't alive, dude. Like blue came when blue came out.
That was my first games. I was. It was. I think that it came out in the '90s. I think that those
Okay.
came out like '98 or something. But anyways, yeah.
Okay, so what?
I
So
don't know.
do you guys agree? You guys agree with this? That like you look at
So
these IPs. Do you think they're like going? They've gone down in quality, kind of, right? Like over the years. Do you guys
I mean,
agree? Disagree?
there's this joke, right, that every trilogy, by the time you reach the third movie, it's just dog water. It's really diluted and shit. And what you're basically saying here is that there could be good trilogies if we did decentralized as a paradigm in Web3. So I love the sound of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, we can't even comprehend how much better an IP could be if it's like all co-created by the people who love it the most. And there's going to be directions that people take and that upset other people potentially, but there's going to be, more of the things the people love about them, these IPs.
Well, that's when you know it's working, I think, when it upsets other people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I recently saw somebody mod Smash Brothers Melee, this character in it or whatever, and I don't basically Super Smash Bros. Or somebody ended up like doing a DMCA or like made them take it down. But I imagine that from like a decentralized perspective to where like it's actually a holder that's doing cool stuff like that because everybody loved it and resonated with it, but then it got taken down by the company. And this
Yeah,
model
Nintendo.
encouraged people to do that, and we have, of course, like the Don't Be Evil license, which is the full IP rights to the holders to be able to do whatever spin-offs and games or anything that they wanted to do with their IP. So this is just such like an untouched territory and like something like just so new for that's never been seen before. So yeah, that's what I think of.
Yeah,
I also
totally,
think,
man.
sorry, my last add-on here would be, I don't necessarily know if it's as much of, for me, looking at those IP giants, as much as I do think some of them have definitely gone down, but there is no way to really connect with it because there is like it's just constantly like them licensing it out to these new games or whatever. So like on the slide, like yeah, there's no personal investment when it comes to these unless you're like collecting physical items, I guess, like Pokemon cards or whatever. And then yeah, there is no like they obviously don't there is no engagement with the fans because it licenses out to all these new companies that are like you had Niantic, you had Game Freak, you have I don't even know who the like Pokemon Pocket that might actually be directly related with Pokemon, but you have all these different.
Mattel. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So one thing that comes to mind as well. So as I grew up in Germany in the 90s, we had, for example, Lord of the Rings was a big hype. But at some point, the second and third wasn't as good as the first anymore. But what did spawn off is on YouTube, people were doing satirical dubs. So they were doing dubbing in German of like a totally degenerate Gandalf and Bilbo. And that one really like blew up, and people couldn't wait for the next episodes. But it wasn't officially licensed or anything. But it was decentralized in the sense that anyone on YouTube can create on top of this, right? But I think if we had like a proper incubated setup where we can all be led towards something like this, yeah, this is super exciting.
Yeah, and in terms of the companies in the previous slide that you showed, I will have to say Call of Duty has been on top for some time now, and they just gave the same kind of product, just a new skin, pretty much is what they were just doing over time. But I believe we are at a current point where they're about to fall off the throne due to Battlefield, and I'm looking forward to that. Battlefield 6, I believe, is pretty dope. Call of Duty might fall because of Battlefield.
Cool, man. Yeah, I mean the formula for them works. Like the incentives for them are what they are. Like Chris, you mentioned that Nintendo was suing a fan who made a modded game of Super Smash Brothers, and like making mods of games is totally legal, and you can distribute the mods without distributing any copyrighted material. but yet the companies are still going after their fans who, for all intents and purposes, are actually contributing to the growth of their IP because that's what they're incentivized to do. Versus when we're taking this different approach of going Web3 approach, we have a different incentive, which is to invest in our fans who invest in growing the IP. And so the IP flywheel is actually pretty powerful because what happens is you have fans who create IP, and that could be like something that is just participating in the ecosystem of the game, whether it's like doing cosplay or whether it's actually, creating real IP, either one. But what happens is when fans engage, they actually grow the brand, and then other fans see those fans participating, and then they're inspired to participate themselves. And so what you have is this like virtuous cycle where the active fans creating is contagious, which leads to more fans creating, which leads to the brand growing and growing and growing. This is the flywheel that doesn't exist in Web 2. And so on top of that, like this model has been proven to work in other industries. So look at open source software, DIY, 3D printing, etc. These are all examples of decentralized communities that create better products than centralized ones. This isn't like we're making this up, right? So I'll pause there, guys. Let you jump if you want to comment on this. All right, you guys good? All right.
Yeah, I was just thinking, on that specifically. I mean, obviously, like I know the open source, being able to contribute towards that's massive. I know with like 3D printing, we've actually been buying a lot more 3D printed stuff and like more like homebrew type stuff just for like our kids and our household. That's been really cool, and it just allows a lot more creativity and flexibility. I gave it to one of my friends, but it's just like much more like useful stuff when like stuff that companies aren't really mass producing when they can be produced by like individual people or like more DIY projects. So I think this is a interesting way to think about decentralization of like things that are already kind of decentralized. But my mind automatically goes towards like Bitcoin or crypto when I think decentralized. But this is like just another interesting perspective to see.
Yeah, I mean, perfect example of Bitcoin being an open source software. Like perfect example, right? Like there's so many examples of like JavaScript, like pretty much most of the internet is built on open source software. And if there was a private company that tried to create that software to make it better than the open source version, they wouldn't be able to. Like it'd be impossible. Yeah.
Pizza Ninja's cooking.
All right, so
Nazar.
yeah, Nazar, what's up? So of course the goal of Pizza Ninjas is to build a massive gaming ecosystem and IP universe, which encompasses gaming, collectibles, cartoons, and visual merch. And for those who have never heard of us before, a few details about Pizza Ninjas. Of course, we also launched Pizza Pets, which is a really fun game that we launched at the beginning of the year. And the unique thing about Pizza Ninjas is that the IP rights are number one on chain, okay? And that we use a very simple license, and that when you buy a Pizza Ninja, you own the copyright for that character. This is not necessarily true about every NFT because they have to actually have the license that says that you have the right to the copyright. And if they don't, then by default you don't have it. So we're one of the few projects that actually really focused on getting the IP rights so that the holders will be empowered to create with their Pizza Ninjas. And so like people always ask like, okay, well, like you own the right to monetize a character, you own the right to develop a character. What can that be worth? So this is actually something that I think took a little while to think about, but I wanted to share with people like some examples, right? So if you look at Pokemon as a whole, it's a $100 billion IP. You can calculate the standalone IP value of Pikachu, which would be all of the products that have a Pikachu like picture on them, not just like the Pokemon logo, which is the Pokemon trademark, but they actually have the Pikachu image. That's the copyright. The total value of that is like 3.5 billion, which is kind of crazy actually when you think about the fact that like a copyright can have that much value to where it can be worth more than like a tech company, right? And so the Pokemon company, of course, is an incredibly profitable company. I think they have one of the highest like profits per employee of any company, and far exceed the average in the tech industry, because they have just like 100 people who just license the IP, right? They don't make the games that they don't make the Pokemon games. They don't make the Pokemon movies. They don't make the Pokemon toys. those are all licensed to other parties who make everything, and they just hold the copyrights. So that's pretty valuable. But maybe like, oh well, Pikachu, of course, like Pikachu is super valuable. What about like the other characters probably aren't worth anything, right? Wrong. So what you can see is that you can, if you try to calculate a standalone value for other secondary characters like Minnie Mouse, Darth Vader, Snoopy, Donald Duck, like here's some like really valuable ones. Luigi number 6, 1.6 billion. And Luigi's like the I call him the beta male comic relief. Yoshi. In fact, what you see is that if one series is successful, additional characters in that series are much more likely to be successful.
Damn, that's what you really call him? You call Luigi that? Beta male comic relief? Damn.
He
At
is. He is.
1.6.
I mean,
It is kind of
he
true.
is. Yeah. I mean, you would. I think he's worth half of what Mario's worth. So
I mean, did you watch the last Super Mario Brothers movie? Luigi was like basically the damsel in distress that was
Really?
like scared and not able to like fight for
oh
himself.
yeah.
Whereas like Mario was basically trying to save him the whole time. And yeah, like, can I add real quick to this? Just like, I think it's cool because like
Jump in.
Luigi also had his own successful games that were just him, right? Like he had Luigi's Mansion was one of my favorite games for GameCube when it first dropped. And I mean, Luigi has his own arc and fan base now outside of like Mario and Peach and all the other individual characters. So I don't want to get ahead too much, but thinking about this as far as like decentralized, it being individual characters that one person really established and pushes really lifts up everybody else in there. And I mean, you have one person take off and start doing really well with this, it essentially like lifts everybody else up as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, so here on this list, you have like Darth Vader and Yoda, both from Star Wars, not the primary character. You have Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy, all from the Mickey Mouse series, and then you have like Luigi, Yoshi. Obviously, no Mario's worth a lot of money. But yeah, I mean, a lot of revenue can be generated by copyright of a character that people love. And that's just it's not restricted to like the main character and like that. It really depends on. I mean, you could have. I'm sure there's IPs that we can think of where the main character isn't even the most popular. Probably isn't even the one that makes the most money from licensing. So these are again, like someone was like arguing me on X. They're like, "Are you promising people are gonna make $1 billion from their character?" This is meant to be an example as an analogy for a pedagogical example, a teaching example of like what a character can be worth, especially in the world's most valuable IPs. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, Pikachu is worth more than a tech company. OpenSea, okay, 3.5 billion, just the copyright. Okay, so like not any people working at the company, right? OpenSea last valuation. This is a 2023 down round. That was the bottom of the bear. I love OpenSea. Not meant to make a wise crack at them at all. Instagram was originally acquired for $1 billion 2014. Twitch as well. Like Pikachu is valued more than those, which is kind of crazy to think that you can have a company with. I mean, Pikachu's worth more than our company right now. You know what I'm saying? And we have like 20 people full time, part time. Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, so I think this is the most compelling thing really about IP on chain is that when it comes to the IP model, like the whole point is to convert attention value into fundamental value, right? The whole idea is that with IP, if we all get people excited about the IP, which leads to a series of different products, people get more and more invested over time. The tricky thing with attention, and you've seen this every single Bitcoin cycle, like even as early as like 2013, is that people get attention burns out, right? And then if you're just if you don't have something behind what you're actually doing, it's not going to be successful. Versus the exact IP model directly represents this opportunity to go from attention to fundamental value creation. What do you guys think?
This kind of ties back into the beginning slides on the bubble as well, right? If you think of a bubble as just a burst of attention on something, right? Like right now, the AI bubble, 2021, the NFT bubble, that's all a lot of noise. And then our task is to distill where's the signal in that noise. And for us as a team, we believe that this is really, the signal in the NFT noise is IP.
100%. And so by creating characters, stories, merch, cartoons, etc., character IP grows over time, right? So that's the whole idea, is that like your character gains fans, therefore your character is more valuable than it was yesterday, right? That there's actually like not just like to compete for attention with every other crypto project, for example, is not a very good strategy. But instead, to get true fans of a brand that can grow over time, that is a good strategy, because a lot of people can win at doing that. And that's the purpose of IP value.
Yeah, and you're not like waiting on the Ponzi-nomics of like a typical like project, right? Like there's nothing wrong with these things, but like you're not just waiting on this one airdrop that after that happens, the value of your asset goes down tremendously, right? Like you're building brick by brick the foundation of your character that is getting more and more valuable with as much attention as it gets. So it's like all those other like crypto related things can still happen because it's obviously a crypto project, but at the end of the day, like this is way more foundational than those other things that are, as the previous slides said, are like based on hype, which typically it's easy to fall off a hype hard and heavy.
Yes, for this too, I must say, like, to go back to Rising Tide lifts all boats. Each character does get more, like, if let's say we're going to be developing our characters, the case studies that we're developing, and when their popularity goes up, so does every other character that is from the same tree. So that's kind of what this is saying, and I do agree with that. Pretty much, the more Pizza Ninja characters get, notoriety, like Ralph, the CEO, stuff like that. Any secondary characters, like another version of Luigi comes out, it's already, the track is already done. It's already set for it to just move into.
100%, man. Luigi was successful and Wario was successful, so they had to make Waluigi. You know that?
No, I didn't know that.
All right, cool. All right, so yeah, back to the point about copyright being awesome. So there's three types of IP: trademarks, copyrights, patents. And among the three, like copyright is like the best. Not just because it lasts for 90 years, and patents only last for 20 years, but because it's easy to get copyright. Copyright is international. You don't need to register it. Registering it helps you enforce it. Enforcing it is also easy. This is why we have such a big problem on YouTube and other platforms with like content strikes from copyright stuff. Like it's easy to enforce. Patents not so much. Patents are hard to get. Patents are hard to enforce. Patents are valuable for sure, but copyright can become a really long-term cash cow if you create a character or are part of an IP that people really, really love. I mean, and probably would keep going for, like, Pokemon probably keep going forever until the end of the copyright, just like Mickey Mouse has. But there's a new way with Web3 IPs, which might take away some of the attention or the opportunities from the non-Web Web3 ones. Okay, so how do we do this? Okay, so this is not meant to be a knock at any project by any means. It's just to point out like where we see the issues being with how people are doing it now. And I think that in 2021 is way different than today. Like all the projects of 2021 had to go a certain way and do certain things because they're of the environment they were in, and we're in a different environment today. So a lot of the projects are not using the right IP license, or they're using a very complicated one, if they're using any. A lot of them are, of course, not focused on empowering and incubating holders. They're focused on like spending their money that they've raised on building the IP themselves. And they're not leveraging the latest advances in AI yet. But I do think that probably within a short time after we kick this off, like I would guarantee that all the top IP projects have something like what we're sharing with you guys today, what we're launching, that they've thought of something similar or are working on something similar internally. I just bet, because it's such an obvious idea. And if they're not, they will be soon. I think this is going to change. And finally, the value creation doesn't flow back to holders. So with the model that we're about to introduce, we solve all these problems, not just the license, but the idea of it's IP school, guys. The whole point of IP school is to incubate the holders, teach them skills, and help them develop their IP to be worth something. As we'll see, we've solved the other two things as well. So, guys, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think that other projects, like it's like perfect timing right now for this, right? Like mainly hitting that, not leveraging the latest advances in AI. Like we're in the fruit of like the greatest, like how fast things are moving with AI right now to be able to do these things. And I feel like you elaborated on this on not only the longer space we did on your profile, but also on the Ordinal show today. But like these are these things that used to cost Pokemon, Nintendo, Marvel millions of dollars. That price is getting lower and lower for the barrier to entry. Of like, I mean, even things as simple as making a graphic with your character in it with a bunch of stuff in the background. You can do that now in 2 clicks and a couple prompts for basically free. Whereas 2 years ago, not a year ago, you had to pay an artist, you had to pay somebody like a couple $100 to do that, right? And then animations are kind of getting the same way of like what used to cost some projects running $25,000 a month to create these animations. So obviously the project had to do it, not the holder, is now a couple cents per generation, if that. And so the possibility for this is like just now available. So no projects have really done this, partially because it's never even been possible. But I think the projects that actually execute on this, there's really a breakthrough waiting to happen here. And obviously I am biased, but I think because not only are we leveraging this, but we're equipping the holders to be able to do all these things through our school that we're doing, our IP school, our boot camp. I really think that we have an edge. And like you said, I think in the next few weeks or few months, we'll see a lot of announcements from major projects announcing very similar things. And yeah, I guess I'll just plug that. Just remember, Pizza Ninjas did it first.
Yeah, well said, Chris.
I think what's crazy about this is that it's only been maybe a couple months since the whole tech stack of doing something like this. Let's say the LLMs, both on text, maybe image editing, and also video generation, is probably available for less than $100 a month for a person, at which point you can get people to actually do this. Before, last year, it wasn't at this low a price point.
Yeah, it wasn't even that good. It wasn't even good enough. I mean, I think yeah, so like to go to the next topic, like, or the next slide, it's really what's changed big is AI, like in the past few months. Like it's gone from being like impressive but like not good enough to being good enough. Like since the ChatGPT model that like had the Studio Ghibli like Hayao Miyazaki style like art came out, that was like the first time images like were pretty decent for even use in marketing. And now with VO3 and also with Nano Banana, which just came out last week, like I've seen a big shift. Like there's the different animation studios that we talked to, or people work in the animation industry. They went from like using AI for like helping to brainstorm or like design like an outline of like a screen that they would then like redraw, to like using Nano Banana now for every frame of the animation. Like it's gone from like partial AI use to like full on, you can produce a whole movie with it, and it's only going to get, it's crazy to think it's going to get better like than this, like really fast. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I do second that sentiment. The time is now for real, because the technology is growing quickly. So it's a great thing that we're here at the forefront doing this, because it's pretty much inevitable that this is going to be commonplace in all industries.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, so the cost is going to go to zero. The barrier to entry is zero. So obviously, first mover advantage and speed matters, but also creating IP collectively as a part of a community where 1,000 people work together to do it, I think is gonna be the only thing that's gonna break through, because everyone's gonna be creating like good quality at like zero cost. By working with the community, you can first of all, you can create better quality because you have feedback early on. But secondly, you have like that distribution. That's really what it's going to come down to, which is why the Web3 IPs are just positioned to really eat the lunch of every other IP. Now that we're in an AI world, and so like we're introducing IP School today. I mean, this is like this is the holy grail. This is like what we've been going for and what we've been envisioning, and what has only become possible as of like 2 weeks ago to actually, until now, creating IP was hard. This is why in 2021, the other IP projects decided to do it in-house themselves rather than like decentralizing it, is because it was too hard. It was too expensive. It's not hard anymore. It's not expensive anymore. It'll still be like somewhat hard, but not like the difficulty has gone down from like Olympic level to like high school or like middle school level of difficulty in terms of creating great things. And so we want to be at the front of this with IP School. And real quick, what IP School is, it's an on-demand and live cohort-based course. So what that means is that there's going to be the online videos that any, like as soon as someone becomes a holder of a Ninja, they can go and they can start learning how to develop their character, and they can start developing it. We're going to have the great instructors, great mentors. We have like some of the top writers from Hollywood who are in Web3 now and working with us, and Emmy award-winning editor on our advisory board. And this is going to be a platform where by the end of the course, people will go through projects. They're going to like learn how to create their character, how to grow their character, and how to monetize their character. And at the end of it, there's going to be projects where we will actually license the top 10%. So let's say, for example, the first bootcamp would be everyone to create a music video. What we're going to do is we're going to take the top 10% of what the community creates. We're going to license it. We're going to package into a product, and then we're going to go and sell it to streaming sites, etc. And the revenue that comes back from that is going to go airdrop via Bitcoin directly into the wallets of those ordinals. So what we have here is the full stack of what this vision is supposed to look like, where you actually have holders creating content or creating products. Again, this isn't like start a burger shop. Someone's asking like, oh, we start a Pizza Ninja burger shop. It's not like start your own business. It's more focused around digital content and sort of turnkey ways to monetize, and really heavy on creating a good character, creating a good story, creating digital content that you can monetize. It could be video, it could be ebooks, it could be. I mean, eventually, I think that there will be the TV show for Pizza Ninjas will be like all holder submitted episodes. Like every holder would be able to make a prompt, and you're going to need to learn like the small techniques of like logistically what to do. But every holder can make a 20-minute animation as part of an anthology series of a TV show. Like that's where this is going to go. And then again, we're going to license it. We're going to pitch it. We're going to monetize it, and it goes back to holders. So I'll pause there.
Probably for me, the most beautiful part of this vision is that the bottleneck becomes the human creativity. So, and our holder base is creativity, right? So the hard skill barrier is lowered to the point that using natural language, we can just let our creativity run rampant and reap the fruits of that.
Yeah, in terms of that, we will have that's how AI comes into effect, that we're going to have guides. We're going to ask the right questions to help them along the path of being creative. Like to help them build the characters, we're going to ask the real questions that they really need to answer for the character to come to life. But you're right, the creativity is the hard part for sure.
I like it just because like creativity fluctuates so much, like I said this on the original show today, but like I'm an idealist, and with AI, I'm able to like bring those ideas to life a lot more. Like I feel like I have a ton of creativity. I've just always struggled on the actual like being able to do the art or say the words or whatever. But AI has like tremendously helped with that. And so many people are just different creatives. So my portion of the Ninja series is going to look so much different than the next, the other person's who's like just creatively different. This is not the direction it's going, but at all. So I don't mean to throw this off too much, but it almost reminds me of, you ever watch like Love, Death, Robots, where there's like a different style short animation every single episode? Did you guys watch that Netflix series? Yeah. It's just like, there's so much.
It's a good one. Keep going.
My reasoning of bringing that up is that there's just so much different type of creativity in these like indie artists for each episode. It just, you want to watch the whole thing, even though these they don't link so much. But I don't know, for some reason, I just think of the animations maybe being so different than that. Yeah, I don't know. My mind just went to that though.
Yeah, totally. I mean, again, the incentive now is for Pizza Ninjas to incubate holders and to help them monetize their content, and then that's like the synergy becomes perfect, I think, through this model. And this is going to be, again, it's going to be on demand, so it'll be like you could take it anytime at your own pace through the videos, and then there'll be like a boot camp twice a year probably, because it's a 12-week course. And so like these are the three categories. Again, it's like dream, grow, earn, very aspirational. And the dream part is like, these are the three modules of the course. Basically, the dream part is like creating the lore, generating content. And so like how this is going to work, we'll touch on in a minute with like our custom AI model. But the dream part is gonna be creating all this source material, not only creating the source material, which is again, the graphics, like stories, etc., but also going through the creative process. So in the boot camp, like actually having a workshopping session where you can brainstorm with other people, you can bounce ideas off each other, and you can get feedback, and you can iterate it and distribute it in a small but meaningful community, because the Pizza Ninja community is that initial distribution, and the Web3 community is also part of the initial distribution, but then it's the Web2 audience. But you need to have like a place to really workshop it. Like the best ideas are never come like just from our heads. They come from like ideas failing and mistakes and like funny things happening. And so this part is going to be, again, working with the AI, working with people, working with peers, working with coaches, and will culminate in the creation of source material. That's the dream section. The grow section is then taking that and then growing a fan base. So we had a creator boot camp about, was it maybe a year ago? It's been a while, I think, but nonetheless, our last boot camp was a creator boot camp, and we taught people how to grow their accounts. And actually, when you have a character, it becomes a lot more interesting for how you can grow an account, because you actually have like probably an easier time growing a character like we did with Ralph and the CEO. Like you can have fun dialogue that plays out, that creates interesting content, and you can get your fans just through that way, right? Chris, curious, you have anything to add, or Ken?
Yeah, I have a lot actually. One, we should have put Ralph and the CEO on the slides because that's a great example, because those were literally exactly what we're talking about here. And we built that, honestly, even without some of the latest tools, of that lore, that IP. Some of people's favorite shirts that they've ever had at any Web3 event was Ralph and the CEO on them, choosing Team Ralph or choosing the CEO, and all that lore and storyline, based around these fictional characters. Yeah, I mean, those accounts are like 40,000 followers or something like that. Like that's great examples of building out these characters and storylines. And then two, I wanted to highlight, you mentioned it, but like we did have like two more boot camps as well that were major successes, right? Like the first boot camp, there was tons of people that learned how to set up their first Bitcoin node ever, that's never ran one before, that didn't have any sort of tech experience, all the way from these sessions where we brought in devs, we brought in like, everybody who's done this for a long time. And then we had workshops of like being able to ask Alexa or all these other people questions about like how these like technical these technical hurdles that we had. And then the next one was the creators boot camp. And what came of that is people literally monetizing their content creation, right? Like, I mean, we have ninjas now that do sponsored spaces. We have ninjas now that got tons of sponsorships that partnered with big companies. And that was off of our second creative boot camp. And we had a lot of people come in for that. There's so many to count. I remember like Gigi, who's obviously made a name for herself. We Erica, just all kinds of people that came in for that. So, and I imagine we're going to have the same for the next one of like people that like have experience doing this that are going to come and show you exactly how to do it. And the fruit of that is going to be just like the fruit of the previous 2 boot camps. If you care enough and your drive is strong enough, you're going to end up successful at the end of the boot camp. If you kind of just don't really participate and you just kind of see it and shake it off, then maybe not. But there's definitely going to be people that come out of this boot camp that are absolutely set for success on this model that I'm really excited to see. And I always learn a ton out of the boot camps myself. So I'm excited personally for it as well, just to be able to learn how to do some of these things that I might be my weaknesses.
Yeah, for sure. I was gonna say we definitely do have a case study with Ralph and the CEO to study from, to use as the case study. We will, for part of this, we're going to have, it is going to be very interactive. So there's going to be deliverables, like character sheets, character worksheets. Like there's different technical aspects that it's not really just common knowledge that we're going to go over and pretty much guide you through how to make a character like Ralph. Like Ralph, it seems simple, but Ralph has a whole backstory before it was inscribed. So Ralph, if you looked at his inscription, he has a whole journal entries of how he got in the moon, all this stuff before we made our first animation with Ralph versus CEO. So there's a lot to gain from this, and the deliverables is just going to help it with the feedbacks and the advising. This is going to be great, and we're going to build on top of the lore. So the wiki is there to help guide, so you could build on top of the world that we are currently building that, and we've already built.
Yeah, I want to add to that real quick too. We've been talking about how AI is just making this barrier to entry so much lower in a good way, but it still does. There's a lot of things that do still matter. A lot of planning, organizing, structuring. The person who does the prompt is still more important, at the end of the day, than just going into ChatGPT and writing one sentence of, "Can you build me this character out based on this image and write me a story on it," right? Like there's a lot more that goes into it, or else everybody would be doing this, right? And that's kind of all these tools that you can use to put all together. Like Ken said, I mean, there's a lot that goes around each one of these characters. That's more than just like, hey, write me this full book, or make me this video, or do whatever. You're gonna have to put in the work, but that's always a good thing, because if you put in the work, or if you own the right asset, in this case, that gets you access to it, you're ahead of other people. If it was just a one-click prompt, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah, well, I think the hard part, like people have a model of how they think that the IP model works, and they think it's like somebody starting a restaurant with their PFP. But that's like not really, I think, the path of least resistance. I mean, sure, people could do that, and I would totally support it. If people have like a Pizza Ninja pizza place, I would eat there all the time. But that is hard. That is like requires you to be an entrepreneur. Really, like that does require you to like invest everything into it. But when it comes to like majority of what I see in the licensing world, like if you actually look at all the products that Pikachu licenses or Mario licenses, and like where the money comes from, it's usually not like there aren't Pikachu restaurants, or the Pikachu restaurants don't make a lot of money. Like, and also the Mario ones, I mean, they probably make good money actually as a solo place, but they're not like scaled, to a big level. Whereas a lot of the things that are licensed are actually just like everyday things, like a Pikachu Band-Aid, or like a phone case, or things like this. Like it's literally the place that we want to focus, that we think is scalable and highest impact, is that if you create a great character and you create great source material for that character, that will make it easy to grow. And then that will make it easy to earn with like everyday, selling everyday licensed things. That doesn't have to be like opening your own restaurant, which if you want to do, like all power to you, but it is hard, a lot harder than the path that we see for basically every holder to start earning from their copyright. Cool. So underpinning everything, this whole IP school, this is like really the key part, is that we've developed a custom AI LLM wrapper, as they call them, which is like the user interface, the user workflow, and the context engineering around the top models that exist today. And so we'll show some screenshots of the system, but basically the unique thing that AI can do is that it can allow you to generate insights from a large amount of information at the same time. And so, for example, you could have an AI like read every single Harry Potter book. You could ask it 10 questions and it could read all of the books at the same time, every time, before answering every single question, right? Like it can go through a large amount of information. It can tell you exact like insights, answers, etc., in a way that like the closest analogy was like search engines almost before. But now with these models, what we can do is we can actually coordinate a large group of people, say 1,000 people, to all contribute to a story in a way where they don't have to be all talking to each other. Like imagine coordinating 1,000 people is really tough. This is one of the fundamental problems that IP projects have had until now, because we can leverage AI to sort of like referee and sort of like, as people are creating their characters, to make sure that there's no conflicts and also make sure that they all stay true to the initial setup of the world that we put down there. So that's really like the powerful thing, is it's not just like a coach, not just like can teach you, not just can guide you, not just can generate the content for you, but it can also coordinate 1,000 or thousands of people at the same time to contribute independently without any knowledge of each other to something that ends up being cohesive and fits together perfectly. Cool. So with this with IP School, it's going to be part of our actually broader like Pizza Ninja holder portal. So I'll show you guys a couple screenshots from that. It's going to have like all the things that honestly we needed before, but we finally have like holder profiles, a portal where you can see all the latest updates to the project in one place, our upcoming events. So yeah, we've been cooking this for a while. I'm super excited for it. But more importantly, or not necessarily more importantly, but to this topic, you'll be able to go to pizzaninjas.com to the holder portal, and we are going to provide the best access to the best models, and they're going to be custom wrapped in a way to achieve the goal of what we're trying to achieve. So rather than like, one thing we think is like almost like a bare minimum value is just giving all of our holders access to all these models, because I pay probably $200 a month to like 3 different AI models myself, but not everybody in your community is going to do that. But you want to have the access to the latest and the latest stuff. So we, as our organization, just leverage the API, and then we only pay for what people use, and we'll probably give people a certain amount every month, and then if they get create good stuff or get upvotes from the community, like get more tokens for or I call them tokens because in AI they call it tokens too, but I mean like credits essentially to use the model. Was that clear?
Yeah, I love this idea. I'm very surprised that more projects haven't done this yet, because I personally have paid for like platforms that do something similar, like FreePick is what it's called. And basically it accesses all the LLMs and like different things that are built and kind of like packages it for you. And I think I've used another one before, but it's convenient. And then the fact that it's this one specifically is like holder based also makes sense of, that like honestly another utility for part of like holding a Ninja here. But as somebody who's like paid for these programs on other like sites and stuff, again, I just haven't really seen this as much executed, and I think it's really cool.
Yeah, it's like it's like very easy to understand too, right? Like that we give access to our holders so that they can create better content from the best models. And then like really the goal is like, one thing is that So here's like another screenshot here on the left. You'll actually see a feed. So it shows like Trevor BTC there. But imagine like I'm Chris and I'm using this. I would see what Trevor is like prompting and creating. So when it comes to creating the media, we'll have like, the gallery of what everybody's been creating. But you also be able to see the prompts, and you'll be able to search. You'll be able to like see what people are making live. So it's going to be like more of an interactive experience with the media, right? And then when it comes to the lore, you'll be able to like select your PFP and basically create the wiki page for your character and start to create the source material, the writing for your character through here, through working with the AI. And the AI is going to, every time you work with it to create the story for your characters, it's going to be checking everything else that people have created in the universe. So like if like Ken goes before me and uses it and he says, I want my character to be the king of this city, then I come in 5 minutes later and I'm like, I want to be the king of the city. It's gonna be like, sorry, Ken just came here 5 minutes ago. He's the king, like too late, And
Heard that, Chris?
Bro, my
So
character
there
would
is
be
a-
challenge you to a Pizza Pets battle. Winner gets the city.
yeah, there might be a little bit of a first mover advantage here in creating the lore. But nonetheless, like it's gonna be whatever, like being the king of some city isn't gonna make your character like easier to monetize. In fact, maybe if you're probably make it harder in some ways. If your character's like the farm
Beta
boy or
male
like
Luigi.
if your character comes from like an orphanage, they probably be like a more compelling character story than the king. Anyway, like I want to give you guys like the vision to show you exactly what this is going to look like when you go to pizzaninjas.com. And this wiki is going to get, I mean, like every ninja is going to have a wiki page, and there's going to have sub wiki pages of like the different stories that they're a part of, or the different historic events. I think in and of itself, it won't be long before we've created more source material for Pizza Ninjas than any IP that ever came before it. Like I would think that within a few months, maybe like at the longest, like a year, of all of our holders, thousands of people writing lore that is cohesive and fits together, that's a notable achievement in and of itself, I think, is going to shatter prior expectations of how the next IPs are built. So
Heck yeah. I'm excited. This is really to actually, obviously we've been building this out for a while, but for the access and everything to go live in October, yeah, there's gonna be so much creativity involved with some of the holders that I'm excited to see what they build out.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the website though. We had a few previews. This is one of those previews, and it's amazing, bro. I think we should have just go back over it slowly because there's a lot. Like we have been building this out for a little while in the background, and it's a lot has gone into this, even the whole world building, that everything, and it's gonna be dope. I can't wait for it to go public.
I can't wait to go back to school. We're gonna learn so much, so I'm stoked.
yeah, I think like I'm excited to learn from people because like this is gonna be one of the coolest things is just being able to see how other people approach it, because having like essentially being able to see so many examples of prompts that people are doing and like what it leads to creating. Like we've had in the community where someone will like share a prompt in the Discord. They'll be like, hey, like this is my ninja with like a diamond grill or something like that. And then like here's the text. And then like everybody goes through and they just like run that prompt. And like people are just really like having a good time doing it. It's gonna be that on steroids, I think. Cool. So guys, that's it. That's the presentation for IP School. So we're targeting the launch in October after the Pizza Ninja expansion mint is done. We're gonna start IP School and we're gonna launch the holder portal. And by the end of the first boot camp, we are going to have licensed digital content from the top 10% of people who complete it. And we're gonna go out and work on monetizing that content for the holders. And that's gonna be the pattern that we're just gonna scale up the flywheel of, is holders creating incredible IP and us helping holders monetize it.
Boom.
Heck yeah. And I say that, like, if you have any questions, like, drop them under this live. That way we could just answer them. Not like on right now. I mean, drop your question right now, but we can go back and respond to it later. And we'll continue to update you guys. We've been doing more of a building in public model on our socials. So, I mean, we're pretty much updating you with every step of the way that can be revealed. Obviously, like, we didn't want to drop the site or anything like that before we, explained it like in this live. But yeah, there's a lot that's cooking, even more that wasn't even mentioned here. So just follow socials, follow Pizza Ninjas, follow Trevor at TO, Pizza Pets, all the socials if you're not already following. And that way we can continue to update you guys. And I'm super excited about this. I hope that you are as well. And that you're going to participate in it. I know a lot of you have been, excited about the lore. I've even talked to a lot of people at IRL events that were wanting to like do very specific things with their ninjas and use their IP. So I know this will help accelerate that and incubate that. And I'm excited for it.
Cool. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, if that's it, we'll just go ahead and conclude there. Thanks everybody for watching.
I think that you just put such a nice bow on it, Chris.
All right.
Unless we have more questions.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we'll tie
other points, but yeah, I'm pumped.
We'll tie that bow then. We got people in the chat wanting us to shield their ninjas so that their IP can be at the forefront. But get ready for the submissions, get ready for the school, get ready for all the updates, and we'll see you guys next video. Thanks for tuning in. If you're still listening, give this a share, give this a like on whatever platform you're in. We'll be doing a lot of clips. If you found a clip in here that's something that like, wow, I got to tell my friend this, then just send them that clip, post that clip. We'll share it on social media. We always encourage you to share clips from the streams, and we'll see you guys for our regular community update videos soon. All right, guys, have an amazing Monday, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace out.